Hello, this is Scrappy Kathy. Welcome to Mixed Media Frenzy. I'm so happy to be part of the team now. This week, the focus is on Distress Oxide inks. And as with most of my mixed media backgrounds, I'm using Vicki Bouton's Mixed Media Foundations paper. It's pure white, it stands up to wetness, and it's great stuff. I'm actually doing a couple of other challenges here. I'm doing today's load challenge, lay out a day. That's a month-long thing several times a year over at scraphappy.org. And their requirement is to scrap about something you'd happily put on the front page of a newspaper and use at least one circle on your layout. There's a long explanation in the challenge for why all of that is. The other thing I'm doing is the latest letter challenge, part of the October Festival over at Scraptastic Inspiration. And the big thing that we have to do is create a layout that screams autumn without using the word autumn or fall. Have your title done in an unconventional way, and I think I'm going to stamp and heat emboss mine, but I won't do that on camera. I'll do that at the end. And to talk about an achievement. There's a sketch. You use one sketch, 2 words for your title, and 3 colors. And you can't deviate from those 3 colors. So my 3 colors that scream autumn to me are this kind of harvest gold color, the sort of citron lime green, and orange. And I've got this kind of black and white newspaper print that will be one of my layers that will kind of speak to the fact that it's a headline. And my title is, the photos are of two different Halloweens, decorated differently. This was one where Ava was helping put the decorations up, and this was when Katie and Barrett and Ava and everyone in the family had decorated a bunch of pumpkins, and we really did it up big. And these are kind of nostalgic for me because the kids are all older now and a lot less interested in putting up Halloween decorations. Although Ava's back at the house today after chemo, and she and I are going to try to do our best putting things up, and then Katie might help out when she gets home from school. Barrett's at football practice until whatever, and then he eats and sleeps, and that's pretty much it. So let me cut. I've got a little bit of I had a bad trimmer blade, and it left some garbage. I'm sorry to subject you to that. Anyway, I'll fix that later. Okay, so let's do the background. I've got cracked pistachio, squeezed lemonade, and twisted citron greens. I chose them because they're kind of lighter. I don't want the mixed media background to scream. So I'm going to do these on the mat. I should have done that, and I'll kind of do them separately, and then I'll blend them in. The idea that I have is that I will kind of wet these up quite a bit, blot them with the paper, and then use this stencil to kind of wipe off some of these. It'll leave an abstract kind of look, I think, that will look a little bit like leaves. If it doesn't look enough like leaves, it'll just look mottled, and you'll kind of attribute that to the water reactivity. I love Distress Oxides because they do so many things on their own, and you can kind of claim credit for it. So I'm going to kind of swoosh this around so that those colors mix. The pistachio is a bluer green. This, of course, is a yellow green, and this is a pure D yellow, but with a little green to it. So I'm gonna kind of move it around and slap it back this way. As much as anything, I like how the that looks. This is coming out great. And what I want to do is just pull this off, and before this dries too terribly much, I just love, let me just kind of stop and say how some of these colors are coming out. This blue is kind of forming some edges over here. I want to take, I think my photos, well, let's see, let me turn it this way. This way my photos will be right here, covering a part of the layout that's not really so interesting. See if I can get the light down there a little bit better so you can see better. And I'll kind of try to make my pattern over here. I'm just rubbing those, rubbing through there. It'll be more obvious when it's dry, but let me wet my baby wipe a bit and see if I can get more of that leafy look coming through. And I'm kind of doing it in miscellaneous places here and there because I don't want it to be just a, you know what I may do is try that. That may, okay, that kind of looks cool. I've never done this before. I tried something similar to it one time where I was really looking for a distinctive transfer, and it was a much different kind of image. What's the problem with these leaves, and the problem with this stencil, frankly, is that those little, these little things that define the center of the leaf actually, can I do that? Go around and pat. They curl up, and your baby wipe kind of gets caught on them. I don't know if you can see that, but up close, and let me get a light up close on it, you can kind of see the little leaf pattern sneaking through. And that's probably enough for me right now. I kind of like the way it looks, and with all of the other colors that I'm going to be using on here, I think it's ready to go. I'm going to let it dry off to the side while I put together the photo cluster. My photos are 3x3 squares, so I matted them into kind of a 6x3 bit here. I've used this Harvest Gold paper that I got out of a Mind the Scrap kit a few months back. And I'm going to layer these guys flat on one another. Let me see if I can get this lined up better there. And then I'm actually in their layout, the green or this vertical strip is underneath the other layers, but I kind of wanted it to be behind the photo. Now I'm going to put a layer of foam behind the photo strip. I'm not going to do a lot of embellishing here until the very end. I've used this wonderful die to cut leaves in my three colors, the orange, green, and gold. And I've got them in kind of separate bins here, and I've cut some arrows. So I'm going to let my die cut pieces be the embellishments, and they are going to be part of the Screaming Autumn. Let me try to hurry through this. I'm going to overlap it over onto the gold there. Now, in the sketch, there's a kind of the overhang of, and in this case, it's both papers. There's a circle tucked up under the photos. I'm going to let more of my circle show, kind of get it a little, I'll get it where there's no space between this green and it. I'm going to get down there. I have, for a previous project that I filmed earlier today, I have this lime green partial hexagon. I could do it that way. Let's do it that way. And that, this lime green hexagon paper and this orange paper are from Vicki Boutin, my How to Kill a Kit with Style kit. Let me reserve judgment on this little arrow. Not sure that I want to use that. Actually, if it were a different color, I'd probably use it. Let me just sprinkle a few of the gold leaves on here. I'm going to put some of them down flat. This die actually cuts these. You're meant to use the negative and the positive part. It actually cuts the leaves so that they can be kind of curled and bent and look leafy. I'm not going to take the time to do that here because I'm planning to layer some other leaves over these. I'll curl that up. Let me go to the orange leaves. I'm trying to pick out the ones that are the kind of leaves that you like to see falling from trees, the maples and you know, larger leafed. What I'm gonna do there is use a pop dot. I put glue on it, but I think I can just kind of wipe that off there and it'll improve the stick. I just kind of want to pop it up a bit. And now, of course, it won't stick because the glue is wet. Pop it up over, and then I may, let me get a nice little maple leaf here. Okay, so I'm thinking that our background is dry, and I've stuck this. I'm going to take this off camera so that I can have it on a different surface. Okay, blaming the surface when it's really my fumbly fingers, and I wish I weren't doing that on camera. Okay, isn't that always the case that you get something messed up on camera? Okay, and the next leaf I'm going to put down, I'm actually going to glue down, so I could have used that first one. Kind of, again, making a layer. I'll curl it so that it has some dimension, but I'll slide it under this cluster. Okay, and I'll tap that down here, and I'll let those leaves interact. Okay, so that's my photo cluster. Now we'll pull the, now that it's dried, you can kind of see that there are actually some little hints of orange that have come out in the color. That's possibly something it picked up from the mat or maybe from the stencil, because I have used all of those before. Okay, let me put this here. I think I'd like to lift it up. Is that? Let me do this. Okay, I think I'm going to nestle it here in this corner. I'm going to add some leaves just kind of randomly around. I'll have plenty of use for those leaves. One thing I like to do with that die is cut leaves in different colors out and cut and do the negative cut on a white card front, and then I plug in the different color leaves into the white card front, and then I foam the back and do a card. This technique, doing this kind of background, would work for a card as well. In fact, it would be a lot easier. You could do what I did, put your colors down on a craft mat and then blot it up with several different card fronts, and each one would look different. You'd have something unique. Then if you had a die like this that had a nice negative cut that could be replugged with other colors, you can then just go to town. I'm going to use, let's see, I think there are arrows. I die cut these arrows out of a different color orange, or a different scrap of orange from what I used for the, and I'm sorry I can't tell you what pattern paper that is. I literally dug it out of the scrap pile. Okay, I've got those in. I'm going to add my title here, and I think, let's see if I've met my requirements. I've got at least one circle. I think it screams fall. I've used the sketch. I will have 2 words for my title. It'll say all done. And 3 colors, green, orange, and this gold color. And I think that's what we have on the page. So enjoy your Distress Oxides, however many colors you have, whatever colors you have. They blend and they merge and they smirch and they smoosh, and they are just absolutely gorgeous to look at. My only mistake I made here is I didn't take time from filming to go scan this, because that would give me a background that I could use as many times as I want. I usually do scan my mixed media. So enjoy and have fun and get yourself in a mixed media frenzy. Bye from Scrappy Kathy.